Anyway,
Okay,
yeah,
let
so
me.
thanks for reaching out. I definitely want to hear more about your questions. I got your email, but yeah, walk me through what questions you have and I'd be happy to answer. I know you're interested more on next steps for postdoc.
Correct. So I'm in my fourth year of my current PhD program, and I defend my dissertation proposal. Right now, it's just more like writing the result sections and wrap up my work.
Candidate here. You are
Yes.
APT, which is awesome. It's a great place to be. Uh,
Right.
yeah, so
So
congratulations. Yeah, so
thank you.
when do you, yeah, so this is exactly the time to be thinking. I mean, it's unfortunate that you have to be thinking about finishing your dissertation, but also thinking about your post dissertation, post graduation job. So, yeah, this is a good time to be thinking about that and thinking ahead because some people actually don't they wait and because they're like, okay, I have to get the dissertation done and they don't job search until
Right.
after that. And that's fine. Like I think some people want to take that approach, but I think if you want to reduce the gap in between graduation and starting your postdoc, you definitely want to find something soon. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I think that you just answered my first question is more at the timeline. I want to know if this is the right time to start looking for it, or should I prioritize my dissertation work more?
Yeah.
Or do people finish their dissertation and then start looking for postdoc? But
Well, let me start off by telling you about my journey to finding my postdoc, which actually is more kind of like not traditional. So you might be shocked to hear this, but I'll try to still answer all your questions and like give you all that advice. But essentially, I did my MPH summer internship with a professor at Stanford, and she's the one who
mm,
like got me into all of this research and interested in even getting a PhD. And we'd always been joking like, oh, once you're done with your PhD, you're going to come back and work for me. Like it was a joke like ever since I left her lab
I see.
as a summer intern. And then like as the years went on, it became less of a joke and more of a like, would you still be interested in coming back? And then finally, when I was in my third year of my PhD, when I was planning to graduate in 4 years, it was the
Mm,
spring of my third year, and I had just gotten engaged, actually. So my former mentor at Stanford was like, hey, we should have just like a Zoom catch up call. So we had that and she like congratulated me and was like, like if you plan on coming back to California, like you definitely have a job here, like waiting for you. Like I have the funding. So I sort of knew that like very far in advance. And like I followed up with her at the beginning of my fourth year. And then
mm.
she was like, oh, just let me double check my funds. And then within a couple of weeks, she was like, yeah, I can definitely bring you on. And then I was like, yep, let's do it. So that's kind of how I got my postdoc position, which is like way more word of mouth. I didn't have to apply because she already knew me really well.
Mhm.
So that's why I say it's like a more non-traditional route of finding a postdoc. Because, like I said, I didn't have to submit. I didn't even apply to anything else. Like I applied to zero postdoc positions. So
I
I may
see.
not be the best person to ask when it comes to like, okay, so how do you really like dive into the search? But I would say that there are a lot of postdocs that you can like officially apply to. Like there are T32s, which are training grants.
Mm,
And those are like official like postdoc positions that you need to apply for. And the deadlines are usually in fall. So if you want to
gotcha.
be on like a T32 training grant, which has its pros and cons. I don't know about cons, but it has its pros. Um, you would need to like look those up and see which centers have those and then apply like based on their deadline. And that's usually an earlier fall deadline. And then you
Mm,
have people who just like are hiring postdocs like throughout the year. And those generally, yeah, it's just kind of like whenever and those actually tend to be more in the spring that those jobs open up. So I'm getting a lot of posts right now about people looking for postdocs. So they'll put up those applications on their, university
right.
portal or whatever, and then you can go and apply. And then there's also just the like cold email method of like cold emailing people and being like, hey, do you need a postdoc right now? I'm looking for a job. I'm on the market, just about to graduate and defend my PhD or my dissertation.
Mhm.
So those would say the most formal to the least formal ways, but they're all valid ways of getting a
I
postdoc.
see.
And I would say that, especially in our field of public health promotion, I feel like there are unfortunately more postdocs than faculty positions. So there's a
Correct.
lot of like people looking for postdocs. Like I get bombarded with like postdoc hiring emails like all the time. So I would say, yeah. You
Gotcha.
won't have trouble finding a postdoc. I think you might have trouble choosing between your options. But they're definitely out there. And I would just start by doing a lot of Googling and looking up professors that you'd want to work with and
Right.
seeing if they're like a part of a T32 or if they have job applications open. And if none of the above, then just cold email them.
Gotcha. Yeah,
Okay.
I think that's what I did too, is more just keyword searching or in the institution that I want to apply and check like
Yeah.
research project or faculty's research interest to see if
Yeah.
there's a match. Yeah,
Yeah. You're on the right track. So yeah.
sounds good. Um, but just going back to the postdoc application, sounds like you already had this position or connection established, which is perfect because your mentor knows you and your also research
Yeah.
interests are super matched for
Yeah.
long-term career path. But in general, do you have an advisor insight on what do the PI looks for in a
Yeah.
postdoc? Is it
Yeah.
more on the CV, like how good it looks, or how passionate you're about the research, or how many specific skills that they're looking into, since it's no
Yeah.
longer a degree, but more as a
Yeah,
research position?
definitely. No, so yeah, I would definitely say that I lucked out. I'm also very lazy. So I was like, oh yeah, I don't need to put together an application. But this is what I would think that people are looking for from based on what my colleagues and just what my mentor
Mm,
tells me about what she looks. I mean, she still in a way like had to screen me and be like, okay, I do want to take you on. It's not just because like she knew me from before, but it's because I had stayed productive and during my PhD. But yeah, I would say one thing is productivity is like, do you have a track record of publishing? You don't need to have like a
mm,
ton of publications, but at least some sign that like, when you come on, you like will be able to put out some peer reviewed manuscripts during your time and know how to do that. Um, so that's really like the only kind of productivity thing. I would say and passion is probably, and I would say like fit. And by fit, I mean like personality fit also, like how like
right.
you get along with like, because like your mentor, you're going to be working really close. Like, I feel like when you're in your PhD program, like, yes, you have your advisor, but you also have like your cohort, you have like other professors, you have like the
True.
department, the program. But like, really, when you're in your postdoc, it's like you and your mentor are like, real, like, that is like, you are the magic duo, and like, you're going to be writing grants together. You're going to, where like you're listing them as your primary mentor and they're helping you like write this grant. So it's you two are sort of hand in hand going to be doing a lot more work together.
Mm,
Um, so I would say that sort of like drive, that personality, that fit is also something that soft skill or that like, more intangible thing that they might be looking for as well. And you should also be looking for because you want a mentor that is going to like match your personality and what you want as well. Yeah.
true. Yeah.
But like I said, I wouldn't stress too much about like, oh, do I have enough publications? Is my research topic like I think you also have to know that like these postdoc positions are still training positions. And so like
Mhm.
I think it's good to demonstrate like at least for me, like, the first thing my mentor asked me is like, what do you want to learn when we're together?
Mm,
So showing that, like, yes, you've demonstrated that you've built all these skills and you've done all these amazing things in your PhD, but what is it that you want to learn? And does that what you want to learn match with what your
match.
mentor has projects on and what they're working on and what they have expertise in? So it's not
Mm,
necessarily like just showcasing, oh, look at everything I've done, but it's like, hey, I really want to learn more about like qualitative research. And that is basically like a lot of the work you do. So that's why I want to come train with you. That's a
Gotcha.
huge piece of the postdoc as well.
I see. Yeah. I think that's what I heard also is it's still, like you said, still training position.
Yeah.
So you don't need to be perfect or like you're not faculty starting a PI position.
Well, even when you're faculty,
But
I know no one says this enough, you still don't have to be perfect. So,
but I do have 5 or 6-ish where as a lead or co-lead author of manuscript under review.
oh, that's
Uh,
amazing. Yeah. Wow.
okay,
Yeah.
so
So definitely
that's
highlight that. Yeah.
okay.
And you can put those on your resume, like if they're in review. And I would just
Mm-hmm.
verbally mention that when you're like chatting or like emailing these
Gotcha.
professors. Uh,
Okay.
yeah, that's really impressive. And the thing is if they're in review, like, and this is how it works, like, yes, like you, like those 5 or 6 manuscripts will eventually, like, you're gonna hit, like when I always tell people, like when it rains, it pours. Like sometimes I feel like I go months and I'm like, I haven't published anything. Like, what am I doing? And then like, but then I remind myself, I'm like, yeah, but I have 5 manuscripts in review. And then all of a sudden there'll be 1 month and it's like, oh my God, like they're all getting accepted. So I don't know if that's going to be the exact trend, but like if you have it in the pipeline, it will somehow emerge on the other side. So,
Gotcha.
yeah, definitely highlight that when you're applying if they're still in review.
Okay. So those still count as like what you share, like productivity or
Yeah,
like the initiative
exactly.
working on it.
Mhm.
Okay.
And you have your dissertation too, and those will all become papers, or you should strive for those to all become peer-reviewed papers as well.
Yes, that's the goal. That's the goal for sure.
Anyway, I know
Then
that's
I
a long sidetrack because you originally asked me what it was like being a postdoc at Stanford. I realized
yes.
I should answer that question. I love it. There's like such a vibrant community. I'm a postdoc in the Department of Pediatrics, which I don't know where you would be housed, but since I'm housed in the School of Medicine, they are very well funded. I'm not used to being a part of a School of Medicine. I'm used to being parts of School of Public Health. But School of Medicine treats their employees very well. I'm showered with swag. There's always all these events. They also just have a lot of great mentoring programs that are very well funded. So my lab takes on like summer interns, and I get to actually mentor undergraduate students and community college students and
Oh
high
wow.
school students. So it's like such a great experience. And that's like all this like kind of university wide stuff. And then there's just like all the stuff going on within my own lab. That's really exciting too. That's, unique to my mentor and how she's running things. But I would say I definitely feel like I'm a huge part of the Stanford community, and there's so many resources, there's so many events, there's so many committees, there's a postdoc committee, and they're always emailing me about donuts and cupcakes and parent chats and free stuff. I don't know. There's a lot going on. So
Oh wow.
I'm really happy. I have another postdoc in my lab who is like a year and a half or two ahead of me. Like they joined a year and a half or two before I did. And he and I are like, buddies. We work together and it's really great. Like he's also very happy as a postdoc at Stanford. So it's really nice. Like I feel like I need to do more than just interact with him as a co-postdoc. I should probably go to more of those networking events, but they're definitely there. And Stanford's also a beautiful campus. The weather's nice. Like it's a great area to be in. I love the Bay Area. So I no complaints, it's a great, yeah.
Great place.
And I've had
Yeah.
a wonderful experience. And I just submitted a K-99 grant
Mm,
a few weeks ago, and there was a lot of support in getting that in terms of people reviewing my grant, like word for word wordsmithing parts of it, and like administratively helping me through the process, which I felt like I didn't get enough of when I was submitting my F-31 at my previous institution. So um, I definitely would say that there's a lot of support also in like grant writing and just like professional development and just
wow.
research productivity as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's good to know. I also looked up your lab. It's called Reach, right? Reach
Yes.
Lab. And
Yeah.
I did see a lot of different diversity, I guess. Like it's a huge lab, like
Yeah.
working with the PI.
Yeah, no, my mentor's done a great job creating her lab, and she's a wonderful inspiration. I really hope to be like her someday.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's really nice.
Yeah. No, networking and cold emailing is, I always come back to these two as like they can
The
take you
magic.
further. Yeah, it's magical.
I
And you
agree. My current dissertation project is from code emailing too. Like I just look
okay,
up
that's
the professor
amazing.
who's
So
the expert in it.
you got, I see so much of like what I like, you and I are very similar. Let's just put it that way. So
That's great.
I don't think you need that much help from me, but happy to be here to support you and just cheer you on along the way.